Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Dr. Pimpim, thank you so much for that presentation. It spoke to me. And this talk has been very nice to me. May God continue blessing you. Today, I'll not talk about entrepreneurship. Because during the week, I shared so much on entrepreneurship. I shared with you how from being a villager to being an entrepreneur that I am now, with the workforce that I have now, and the turnover that I have now, and the boards that I'm serving in now, and the awards that I've received locally and internationally. So it is possible, regardless of your background. But today, I want to share with you that we have something that God has given us that we are not fully utilizing. We have an asset which is so great, with which we can achieve so much more, but we are not utilizing it. As a result, our countries remain poor, our continent remains poor. As such, from this conference, I would wish you to go back with this to your respective countries. Those that are from Ghana, Nigeria, Malawi, Congo, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, I would wish you to go back with this. The asset that God has given us is the brain. The greatest asset that we have is the brain, and we need to utilize it. The challenge that we have is we are not utilizing this asset. I think let me share with you this, because maybe you may not fully understand how powerful the brain is. I'll not use scientific terms, but let me share this with you. The intestinal cells, the cells in the intestine, have a lifespan of 4 days. So every 4 days, the cells are regenerated. The old ones die, then you have the new ones. The cells in the stomach are regenerated every 5 days. The old ones die, and you have the new ones. The skin cells are regenerated every 30 days. No wonder most of the lotions would indicate that you see results within 30 days. The old cells die, and you have the new one. The liver cells, 42 days. The old ones die, you have the new ones. The bone cells, 90 days. The old ones die, you have the new one. That is why when you break your hand, they'll put a plaster. Then the bones can reconnect with the new cells. The red blood cells, every 120 days, the old ones die, and you have the new ones. The cells that last the longest are the white blood cells, which go for 1 year. And the reason is simple. The white blood cells are the defense mechanism of the body. So those go for 1 year. But here's something interesting. Neurons, the brain cells. It takes an average of 90 years for brain cells to die. 90 years. So the cells that you had when you were a kid are the same cells that you still have now. As such, we need to cultivate this organ. We need to engage this complex, powerful organ. We need to read content that will cultivate and engage this organ. The challenge is we are not engaging this organ. We live our lives and we die having used less than 1% of our potential. You have the potential. God has given you the greatest that you need, which is the brain. Utilize it. Spend your day engaging in things that are productive, so that by the time you are going to bed, your brain has been fully utilized. I think let me share this with you. You see how TV stations run? You might have an important program. When that important program ends, since the TV station is supposed to remain on. When the program ends and there's a lapse in time with the next important program, the TV station will not close. What are they going to do? They'll push in a filler program. So in that filler program, they might push in some songs or maybe adverts. That's a filler program because it is not important. That has just been pushed as you are waiting for the next important program. So they push in a filler program. Now, my call on you, when you utilize your brain fully during the day, when you sleep, the brain doesn't sleep. You know that? As you get to sleep, your brain now begins pulling files from what you are doing during the day, what you are thinking about during the day. It starts processing. Your brain doesn't sleep. Now, as it is processing, that is when you get to have some dreams about the things you are thinking about or you are engaged in during the day. You have those dreams at night. I've had dreams where I'm having a discussion with a banker saying, you see, this interest rate is too high, bring it low. Because that is how my mind was engaged during the day. You have a dream in line with competition. You are dreaming about that because the mind was kept busy. But alas, we have fully grown up men and women who do not engage their minds. As they get to sleep, the mind wants to process. It searches the file on what to process. There is nothing to process. What does it do? Since it has to be awake, it pushes in a filler program. Then you dream of a dog chasing you. Filler program. A fully grown man and woman, fully grown. Dreaming, no, I was dreaming, then there was this fence, then I don't know how that dream ended. Filler program. Your mind is not engaged. We need to engage this asset. We need to fully utilize our assets. Amen? God has given us that. Africa must think. Africa must think. What you have, you can do so much with it. Let me share this with you, just to show you how powerful your brain is. Just to show you, and just to share with you how powerful your brain is. Let me see the hands of those that remember what you were putting on yesterday. The hands of those that remember what you were putting on yesterday. Thank you. Almost all hands are up without thinking. Now let me share with you the process that your mind went through before you raised your hand. To begin with, the sound waves left my lips, traveled through the air, and entered your ears through your external auditory meters, down the tympanic membrane, set up a vibratory force across the oscars of your inner ear to the oval round windows, generating a vibratory force in the endolymph, which mechanically distorts the microcilia, generating and converting mechanical energy into electrical energy, which traveled across the cochlear nerve to the cochlear nucleus at the pontomedullary junction. From there on, we still have a way to go. From there on, it went through the superior nucleus, ascending bilaterally the brainstem through the littoral lemniscus to the inferior colliculus and the mediogeniculate nucleus. From then on, it crossed through thalamic radiations to the posterior temporal lobes to begin the auditory process. From then on, it went to the frontal lobes, coming down the tract of Vatdaza to retrieve the memory from the mediohippocampal structures and the mammillary bodies. Then back to the frontal lobes to begin the motor response at bed cell level. Then it came down the cortical tract through the internal capsule, coming to the cerebral peduncle. Then it descended through the cervico-medullary junction down to the gray matter. From then on, it synapsed, coming out through the neuromuscular junction, stimulating the nerve and the muscle so you could raise your hand. Now, you did that with so much ease, without thinking. Now imagine the process that this asset goes through when you're solving algebra. Of course, this is a simplified version. You have that. The challenge that we have is we are not utilizing what we have. That is the challenge. As Africans, we are not thinking. We expect the West to think on our behalf. We expect the Asians to think on our behalf. We need to start thinking. As you go back to your countries, I would wish you to be the change. We need to see a new Africa. And it begins with you. It begins with me. So let us see this change. Let us see this change. Let us change the way we think. May God bless us.